Hello, my name is John Cullen from Queen Street Osteopaths. The purpose of this video is to explore a different way of working with your core. Most people, when you talk about having core stability or a good core, think about having a nice six-pack in the front, which is okay if you're young, but most of us are not achieving that. But what is more important and probably smarter is to find the sense of balance through the pelvis, through the core, and eventually through the whole body. Many people have achieved this, and people have often forgotten the sense of balance they have achieved in their body previously. Quite often I find people haven't actually done a balance in their bodies since they were doing sport in their younger years, and so they've ended up with a lot of small defects that have added up into a reason why they have to come to the osteopathic practice. So one of the ways of actually looking after yourself, and these are things I regularly teach in my clinic, is to find a different way of organizing your core. Part of this comes from my experience in Tai Chi. In Tai Chi there is a softening of the knees, organizing the pelvis, finding a balance going right down through the heels, and that's a starting point. Now you may recognize this. If you played rugby, you may have actually done a strong stance. If you do boxing has to come from the pelvis, else it's just not working. Or maybe it's in dance, as people turn. So there are many things that people will have a memory of. Unfortunately, the exercises like netball and may not provide a good, or gymnastics. Unfortunately, the exercises like netball and gymnastics often do not provide a strong sense of identifying where your balance is through your pelvis. In science, in the anatomy text, they suggest that if you have the pelvis and the tailbone nicely balanced, there's virtually no power being used by the muscles to keep the head balanced on the top. And I think that's a good plan, to stop using too much power through your body. So, just to reinforce the process, stand up, soften your knees, maybe roll your pelvis backwards and forwards. Find a point where your low back feels strong and comfortable. So basically there is a whole lot of experiences that people have of having achieved this. Now some people have to start with a really clean memory, like imagining perching on a bar stool. Bar stools are quite good because they often help people achieve a balanced low back and a balanced spine. So one of the things, pausing them out, and to achieve the sense of balance into the low back, there's a sense of power balance into the hips. This is common in your sport, this is common in tennis and various other activities. And if people have that and use that, in one of my other exercise videos I was talking about stretching the front of the legs, the thighs. One of the problems people have is the thigh muscles are too tight and they pull the hips forward, and it's very hard to find that balance, especially with the knees locked. One of the ones that's often being explained is the military one of standing at ease. Standing at ease is the hands behind the back, knees slightly softened, pelvis tucked in. And it's surprising how good that feels. Now occasionally people will have some serious issue in the lumbar spine or other parts of their anatomy, and they may need to be looked at more carefully to achieve this. But for general purposes, try and identify that balance through the pelvis for the purposes of doing almost any physical movement or exercise, even sitting. So even in sitting, sitting in a chair doing computing is not considered really good. So if you're sitting up with a nice balance going through your pelvis, that's actually a lot better. So go explore that for yourself. To extend that, there is another balance point a little bit lower in the bottom of the pelvic floor. So that's right down in the, for women are sometimes familiar with their perineal muscles at the bottom of the pelvic floor. So soften your knees, get a balance all the way to the pelvic floor. And that's a really smart way of doing balance. And in this one, or even in having your center of balance into your pelvis, your subconscious mind can organize the balance through your whole body. And that is also worthy of exploring. And it may need some appointment time to really work through your own variations on how that can be achieved. But with a center of balance into the pelvis or the pelvic floor, and the muscles stretched, especially in the front of the thigh, try and use that for your walking from the pelvic floor. When doing your exercise, instead of standing at the kitchen sink like that, maybe put one foot in front of the other, get a balance in there, lean forward a little bit so the power's coming through the pelvis, and you achieve something that is considered that uses up a lot less energy of your body. So go and explore what it is to have a center of balance in the pelvic floor, or make contact and we'll work through the issues some more with you.